offense? Why are you guys so good at taking the ball away? What's the philosophy behind that?
I feel like just everybody just buys into what the coaches are coaching, and you know, we're just so close together outside of football that everybody wants to make plays and do their job for the guys that we're out there playing with, competing.
How do they instill that philosophy? Everybody wants to get picks. Probably not everybody does it with the frequency you guys do.
I feel like it's not something really you can install into everybody. I feel like a lot of the guys that are out there playing, you know, we was friends before we all started playing and stuff like that. You know, we've been through the hardest times of the program, and you know, we've seen everything that happened throughout the program. So it's just something that we built together throughout the grind and all the hard adversity times we was going throughout the program. You know, that's not something you can just build into the team.
Going against the Heisman runner-up, a very potent offense. How much does that get you going? Just thinking about this is a great matchup.
It just makes me, you know, it makes me feel like, you know, it's just another day for me to go out there and us to go out there and prove, you know, that we can compete at any level, you know, against anybody. You know. So I feel like we just got to stay focused and enhance what we've been doing and just buy into coaching.
And you know that he will take the shots. He has faith in his receivers, and he's much more, he's less conservative in the pocket than JT in terms of putting the ball up there. How much does that make you guys think? Let's take advantage of that.
It's sort of, you know, just for the secondary, it makes us, you know, feel like, you know, the game's gonna fall on us. Like you say, he throws the ball, feels like his receivers can make plays, and they're capable of making plays. So it's definitely a competition between us. We feel like we can stop them from making plays. They feel like they can make plays. So we're just gonna go out there and do our job and let it roll out from there.
Is there a common thread with his interceptions? Maybe I know they zone dropping DBs sort of baited him on several occasions. Have you noticed that?
On film, yeah, I definitely noticed that there a lot of teams, you know, played a lot of zone and you really couldn't read the whole defense and stuff like that. But you can't pay no mind to something like that with a quarterback like him. You know, just getting back into the lab and fixing what he messed up on. So go out there and just do your job. Don't worry about how many interceptions you get. You know, that's not really who he is. You know?
You like the way or are you impressed with the way he's responded to those? Like he seems to come back from those picks and raise his level of play.
Yeah, I mean, I'm impressed, but at the same time, you know, it's something that I feel like, you know, he should have been doing. You know, he's one of the older guys on the team, the leader of their team, and you know, if he worries about having the interception stuff that he's throwing like that, then his team's gonna fall down. So.
How have you and Coach Shiano connected? And anything surprise you about him?
We connected when he very first, you know, found out he was taking the job, and we had sat down and talked a little bit before we had started working out stuff for spring ball, and you know, we connected instantly. We was talking about family and you know, just personal stuff like that. You know, we was related to each other. Like, you know, he's seen a lot of the stuff that I was going through at the time, and a lot of stuff I'm gonna go through in the future. So, you know, he's just basically like my mentor or something like that. You know, we talk about everything.
Seems like a no-nonsense guy, or can he yuck it up with you?
No, I mean, we talk about anything. You know, we joke around all the time, whether it's on the field or off the field, stuff like that. But, you know, we know at the same time when it's time to get serious, you know, cut all the other stuff out, you know, and worry about what we're working on at the time.
Malik, how big of, you talk about this year, couldn't you vision something like this, but not quite what it's been. How big of a role has Shiano Greg had in the year you had, you think?
He definitely played a major role with a lot of the success that I had this year. You know, he just coached me up to be, you know, technique fundamental. I bit into what he was saying and all that because for like, you know, like he said, you know, we're a lot closer. We built the bond, you know, to where I want to do everything I can to help him be successful. He's going to do everything to help me be successful.
What was it about him to where you guys connected so fast, do you think?
I'd probably say just because, you know, he didn't know me from a campaign when he first came. You know, he was telling me I'm one of the players. I was compared to somebody like Ed Reed, so when he came in and told me something like that, you know, it was just something that I feel like, okay, you know, maybe he knows what he's talking about, stuff like that.
Was it that he believed in you? I mean, was it?
Yeah, I probably feel like just the confidence that he had in me before he even knew or seen me play down in football. You know, he knew me from my name and, you know, what position I played. He just had the confidence that he had in me. So I feel like that's what built a close bond that we had as of now.
Malik, what do you think of that comparison to Ed Reed? That's the first time I heard it. So now, obviously, you've heard that.
Like I said, it's definitely something that's humbling and blessing, you know, to be compared to college football legend, NFL legend, and somebody who's one of the better players in the NFL. It's something that's humbling, and I definitely take it as a compliment and a blessing.
Malik, going back to the end of the season after you guys beat Michigan, amongst the players, were you talking about or worried about whether you're going to get picked for the playoffs since you didn't play in the Big Ten title game?
Yeah, I definitely feel like that was something that a lot of us had in the back of our mind. We felt like we deserved to play in the college football playoffs, but at the same time, you can control what the committee wants. Because most of the teams that played were teams that won their division and stuff like that. So definitely something that was in the back of my mind. I was hoping that we got another chance to go out there and prove that we deserve to be where we was at.
What do you ever hear? Because I certainly do. Just like whether it's on TV or whatnot, people saying, "Well, how's anybody going to beat Alabama in this play?" Because they were so dominant during the season. Are you guys? Does that come up amongst you guys?
No, we haven't talked about that. Right now we're focused on one thing, and that's Clemson. Winning this game before we go worried about who wins Alabama or Washington. Because that's where teams tend to lose focus and not take care of business, which is supposed to take care of before they go get to that point.